You ready?
Yep. PW.
Wait, we're not calling it PW.
Welcome to
Hey,
PW.
it's PW, guys.
Welcome to the PWs.
Silence! Yo, motherfuckers, welcome to the PW. I be Crow.
And it's me, Mitch. It's me, Klaus, all the way from Germany.
Scott.
And Tim.
Welcome to Pixel Wankers. What do we got on the docket today, gentlemen?
I believe that is the Scott docket today. We're going to start with the stocket.
The Stocket.
It's the deep dive into Scott.
Yeah.
It's part 2 of Wanker Origins.
Are you guys ready for this?
Wanker Origins.
Let's get deep in wood.
Why don't we ever think about that before?
So many dick jokes that we've missed.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm not going to say the most.
You can say
straightforward
it
one.
later when you get to that point in your childhood.
But yeah. So we're gonna go on my story today.
yeah,
You know
where did you come from, Scott?
Why do they call you splinters?
I was raised by monks for the first 30 years of my life.
I thought you were raised in
second-
a box.
The monks put me in a box because they're like, we're not gonna handle this, guy. This is not good.
Gonna bring your birthing
Gave
box.
me the shit check.
Don't lean back, dude.
But no, I guess so. I'll get serious
All right, get cereal.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty normal background. We're obviously all here in Utah. We've mentioned that before. I'm from Utah.
We should have like a Paris background right now. As we're
I
saying.
know, right?
Obviously, we're from Utah. There's just a dude with a baguette, like every movie scene.
And so
Perry.
it's kind of weird. Like I guess like what interested me in animation is that my family is very like artistic. So
How so?
like I'm an animator, graphic designer, illustrator. My brother, next one up, he's a architect, draftsman. So he does drafting, and then he built wonderful looking houses, really great artistic that way. My next brother up, he's an animator, illustrator, everything. The next one up from there, he's like world-class photographer. He's like a really good photographer.
But Scott,
And
what
then-
about the next brother up?
Well, then my next brother's actually a programmer, but again, he has his background in 3D animation and stuff too.
Yeah.
So would you
So
say
it's
that
kind of
your
interesting.
family's drawn to it?
Well,
No, he wouldn't.
it's kind of it's kind of weird because like I never really thought of my house, like my family, as like an artsy family. Like we don't do artsy things. Like my parents weren't like, oh yeah, like do this stuff. We're just super creative and like inventive.
I like
So,
how
like-
we're all, Scott, where'd you come from? And you started at like 22.
well,
He doesn't want to talk about the box.
those were the dark years.
Until they opened the box and let you out. I understand that.
So, well, I mean, like a lot of my, influences for wanting to do art comes from that aspect. But again, we weren't really like
So what made you want to be
artistic
an
family.
animator?
But we are. Probably a big influence is my brother, like who's also an animator. He's always been super into it, and I've always enjoyed like. We both enjoy like anime and animation, and in general, like just all encompassing. Like a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I only like Disney animation. It's all about Disney animation. And that's the only thing that's there." And then there's like people who are like, "Oh, I really only like anime, and it's the best thing in the world, and I really only like
I like that
French
their
foreign
voice.
films and stuff." Like I like it all. If it's animation and someone's doing something different, I want to watch it. I want to check it out. So it's like. I got a well-rounded relationship with animation early off because my brother was really interested in it, and we were just able to like find a lot of common interests. So that's always been something that I've liked. It's kind of weird. Like as a kid, I always would draw like doodles. Like I'm like the weird kid. Like every paper that I have as a kid has like doodles on it, and they're not like drawings. They're like I'll draw a character, and then he's like running through a level, and I'll just draw the level and like to bide the time.
Mhm.
And so like I've always done these like weird little exercises, but they're not really like to any sort of art form. And I really didn't get interested in art until I was in about like 7th grade, and it's really weird because I'm okay at drawing. I was fine at drawing, and then my friend, he's like drawing this dragon, and he had boarded it, gridded it out so that he could draw this dragon on a stick. It's like a dragon head on a stick, and I'm like, he was like started drawing a couple panels, and he's like, this is garbage, this is awful, I'm gonna throw this away. And he had done all the work like gridding out for like a while, and I'm like, oh, I'll take it and see if I can have my hand at it. And I just drew it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty decent. Like, this is a decent little sketch. And so that kind of got me on, like, oh, I probably can do more stuff, like, if I practice a bit, if I put a little more into it. So that was, like, the first thing I ever, like, put any effort into.
Mhm.
And it showed me, like, yeah, I could do some more with this. So then after that, I started practicing and taking a lot of opportunities. In, like, high school, we had an animation class. And, oh, it's funny, I actually joined the coding class for programming, and like the first day I'm like sitting in there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna learn this, and blah 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 blah, and all these things, and they're showing me all this stuff, and I like literally walked up to the teacher after he's done with this little lecture at the beginning of the day. This is in high school, so it's not like a crazy good class. I just walked up to the guy, I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. I can't. Like, you just don't understand. I can't do this. And he's like, oh really? What are you doing? I'm like, well, I like doing like art, and I wanted to try to see if I could like figure out how all this works so that I could like make other things. And he's like, maybe you should try like animation, like 3D animation and 2D animation. They had both classes there in high school, and so I was like, oh yeah. So I signed for both those classes, and it was way better. But yeah, I totally had a panic attack in the programming class, like, oh god, I'm totally screwed. Like, but I don't know. I mean, like, and then I was super successful, and everyone knows me as
And
a
everybody
great
loved you.
No. No.
Well,
So,
you went to Slick, right? Like a few years before me.
yeah.
Or
So
you
well, yeah. So I went to Slick after high school, and I had done animation for a couple of years in high school, just kind of dinking around. Nothing like very intense, but. And then I went to Slick, and I was like, well, maybe I want to continue on doing animation, and I've actually before Slick, this is funny. So after high school, I really didn't have any like aspirations to want to do much more like schooling wise, because I'm like, I don't want to do much more. I want to get into the stuff. Like, I wanted to start doing this stuff because I'm like passionate at this point. I'm like, yes, let's get out and start, animating and start doing art. And I just figured at that point, every artist, I'm sure you guys can relate to this, has that weird aspiration, like, oh yeah, I'll just get out of high school, and like Disney's gonna hire me, and I'm just gonna like do like a ton of like really great shit, and like this will be amazing. And it's like, no, not really that way. That's not how the world works. And so out of high school, my brother, who's an animator, he actually had started up his own company at one point. And I was like, well, maybe I could get on as like an intern there, and then like learn a few things, and then parlay into like another field. And I was out in California at this time, and so after high school, I'm like, well, I'm going to travel back here. So we came back here, and he shut his studio down, went out of business. So I was like, oh, man, this stinks. Because I was hoping maybe I could get an internship or do some work and start getting into the stuff. So I was like, well, I better go to college and try and learn more, which is a good thing because at that point I had a really skewed aspect of like what I thought I learned in those years. And I feel like if I had gone out into the world, I would have just been laughed out of existence. Like even in college, I tried to boast to the teacher. I'm like, oh yeah, I've learned this, so I think I could start these more advanced classes. And the teacher's like, let's see what you've done so far. And I show them like, I think you might benefit from the beginning classes, but not in a way like mean. But they're like, you could still learn something. Like you've got the fundamentals, but you could still learn stuff. So take.
At least you were smart enough to do that.
Yeah,
because like it's funny that like a lot of artists you meet and they're like the worse they are, the better they feel about their art. It's like the really terrible people are like, I got this.
Oh, they're super confident, and it's terrible when they show you their portfolio, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
oh, and they're like, oh yeah, I did that one. You're like, oh,
yeah. It took me 15 hours. I did that one. It's like, oh, really? You know, so it was interesting. I got on back at Slick, and I was learning from there. I had a really great animation teacher, same one that Mitch had actually, and he was awesome with he really like introduced like an ideal to me that like has stuck about animation and art, and how it's not really like, it's not about knowing like the newest program, like, oh yeah, I know all these new programs and so I'm a good animator. It's like, no, it's not about that. You don't become a good animator by knowing programs. You don't become a good animator by just luck or anything. It's hard work. To do shitty animation is hard work. Like really hard work, to do like really good animation is like you just want to pull your hair out, Yeah. And so at the beginning of class, he was like, a lot of people are going to leave, like 75% of people are going to like leave after like the first couple weeks. And I understand that. That's just how it is. Animation is that way. Everyone comes in thinking, oh, I'm going to draw cartoons and I'm just going to be this great, creative person, when it's really not that. There's a lot of complex like thinking that goes into it, a lot of planning that goes into it, and so many people take advantage of like, yeah, I'll just be. It's sort of like art in general. Like, yeah, I can be a good artist, and then when they start drawing, they're like, oh, I'm crappy at drawing. Maybe I'll just do 3D. It's like, oh no, I'm crappy at doing 3D art. Oh well, maybe I can do something more that the computer's going to handle. It's like, no, the computer doesn't just do stuff for you. You do all of it. Like you're the thing that makes it all work. That's the thing that's valuable.
Computer's just a tool for the medium.
Yeah,
that's
like I have a gold hammer. That's one program. Great. But I can't hammer in anything unless I have a hand and a brain to smack it. You know what I mean? Like that's where your body all comes into the fact that it's like, I have to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so that was super apparent as I went through college, and I sort of I was still like on this kick of like, I'm too optimistic. When I was in college, I was like, I'm just going to be like, I'm good enough. I could get out in the world and start making my portfolio. So I'll make my portfolio and I'll send these out to people. I send them out to people and not hear nothing back. And it's like, this is awful. I'm like, oh man, I'm not getting any feedback. So how do I get it better? But I don't want to go back to things thinking like I have to just work really hard at this. I think I have the chops, and so I keep like having these optimistic dreams like, yeah, I'll just get my degree and then Disney will hire me. No, it's not that way. It takes a lot of work, a lot of talent. You have to be talented. Yeah. You have to show that you're talented. You know what I mean? And it kind of got pounded into me in college. I used to do these stupid things. Like in animation, I was given like a task like, okay, draw a patent, like a flour sack that's like pretending to do something, so it's not, you can't speak or anything in it.
Yeah.
And I think it was supposed to fall or something in this one. And so it's like, make the flour sack fall and then make it like act like it's doing something. And most people were just like made it fall off a shelf, or like it kind of walked over to an edge and fell off a shelf, and that was it. Like the acting was it walking and then it falling. Mine was like, I had my hand and I recorded my hand with it. So it was like live action and like the 2D, and I had the thing where I like the hand was stabbing the flour sack and the flour was falling out of it, and he like gets picked up by the hand and then like waved around and stuff, and it was like all this like way over the top, like you don't have, like my teacher told me sometimes, you don't have to work this hard, you don't have to go like into this much effort because you only have a week to do it. You have to get all this stuff done. He's like, I held it to a high standard, whether you are advantageous or not. And so don't kill yourself, get it done right. And I was like, and so a lot of things I felt flat. Like a couple of things were successful, but I always was like way over the top. I threw out like 3 animations before I got it done, and it was only a week. So it's like, I'm just like, like trying to get it done. And it was definitely humbling. It makes you think a little more critically about what you're doing and why you're doing, and decisions that you make early on. Like, are these choices the best choices that I can make, or am I making more work for myself? Because in animation, it's like you're never done. Like, it's always like a work in progress. And even when you can't hand it in, someone's like, okay, this is good, we're gonna go on it. It's like, you either run out of money or time. That's really it. Like, because you can always do more. You can take it back and refine a walk or a curve, or you can. There's a little pop here, or you feel like something's not going. Like you feel like you can see it going from 1s to 2s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these little things, in a lot of animation terms that most people are not going to understand, but. And so you just like. You just I don't know it's a lot of work.
Well, that by itself is something that people don't understand when they get into animation is your project can scope creep. And it doesn't even mean like your project goes from 60 seconds to 60 minutes. It's within that 60 seconds. If you don't say I need it done by this time, you can sit there and hone it in and change it and hone it in. And something like you said could take you a week. It could take you a year because you're sitting there going, oh, well, maybe the toe should flip up, or maybe this should, you know what I mean? And that's something that is really hard to pound into people's heads. And a lot of artists' heads in general is like, there's a point where it's good enough. Mm-hmm. Good enough is where it should be, because it's never going to be perfect, ever.
Well, here's the perfect analogy for this. It's Richard Williams. Everyone know who Richard Williams is? He did Hoover and Roger Rabbit. He directed that. He directed a whole bunch of commercials in the 70s that were really popular. And he's this amazing animator. He's like a master of the craft of animation. He's written the book on it, literally. The book everyone uses to learn animation. He wrote it. And after Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he got all this success and all this backing, and everyone's like, wow, he can really do amazing things. He there's no limit to him. So he's given all this money and time, and he says, I want to make my own project. It's going to be this new project. And have you ever heard The Cobbler and the Thief?
No.
The Cobbler and the Thief was his, like, grandiose idea. I'm going to make the best movie ever animated. That's what he wanted to do. The best animated movie ever. Story is kind of thrown out the wall because he just wants to make really great animation. But even in the fact that he wants to make really great animation, if you check it out, The Cobbler and Thief, Uncobbled edition is, I think, edited the director's cut, which is great. It's this like pristine animation for no reason. Like a guy walks in and his shoe is all raveled up, and when every walk it goes, and it's all on ones. It's all super fluid. Like this one guy, he's doing these cards, and he's like, and it's all 2D animated, and he's animating these cards, and this guy has all these rings on his fingers, and everything's like super detailed, and it's like, why would you do this to yourself? Like, you just look at it as an anime, and you're like, oh my lord! Like the baby Herman bit on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where Roger's like in the kitchen and he's running around, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. You look at all those backgrounds and how they're sliding, like they've really mastered this. You look at The Cobbler and the Thief, where the guy, he's running into the castle, and there's all these checkered floors that it's like a Escher painting on acid. Like you're shooting through these rooms, and all the checkered floors are flying underneath him, and like perspectives all spinning around him, and he's like going around these little like loops on the staircase. It's amazing. It's like that's
visually
incredible. It's all hand animated. Like all the backgrounds are hand animated because he's actually moving through 3D space, and so it's like, how? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do this? Like, he had a background that it was like 6 feet by 6 feet or something. That's like the whole town drawn in like super intricate detail. He hired like, I forget what animator to draw it all up, and he's like, yeah, he's been working on this thing for like months, and it's just this gigantic background. It's just for like one scene where it's panning. It's like, you don't need to go into like tiniest details. Your film can't even pick up those details. There's no reason for this, but he had to do it. He had to do it to the max.
Yeah.
Ran out of time, ran out of budget. It went through like 3 or 4 studios. It was released as the Arabian Nights. It's basically Aladdin before Aladdin. Like basically Aladdin stole from this, and it's all wrong. Like Arabian Nights, the cut that they did as the movie studio to try and salvage the money is awful. They put these really awful voices on it. It's like, so it just goes to show you, even an animator who is the top of his game, best animator out there, can make terrible decisions if he is given enough money and time. And I mean, again, it's never done. Like he would still be working on it if no one told him like stop.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So on that note, you went to college. Then what happened?
So went to college, and then I.
Do you need my chair, dude?
I'm gonna need to swish it. You dicks changed it. I know that was intentional. That just doesn't happen.
There's 3 over there.
Well, why didn't one of you guys grab those ones? I guarantee you just flipped it, and you're like, the son of a bitch is
I
gonna see.
don't know how that could ever have happened.
Just,
It was Scott's big day. He had to have a nicer chair.
Yeah.
Can I paint
So
you
it
like one
was
of my
you?
French girls?
Oh, I'm comfortable now.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll probably switch out in a minute, but like right now.
Can I paint you like French girls?
Yeah, what?
Just general French girls.
French
Any
girls.
one of them.
Can I paint you like
So after college,
Yeah.
I basically tried to get out into the industry, and like I really got to get a job. It's weird. Things don't go the way that you think that they would go. Like for the longest time, I started doing print work, and I'm like, I'm not super interested in print work, but it's something that's in the industry. It's graphic design and stuff. So I'm like, oh, I'll take some jobs doing print work.
Yeah.
Slowly building up my stature there. And then I was able to get a job with TML. What's up?
I'm just laughing at how he's sitting.
I'm comfortable.
He's just giving
Hey,
this.
how's it going, Scott? Let's get into this story.
He's paying
Sorry,
attention.
my bad.
I'm sorry that I'm enjoying Scott's life story.
It's way better than mine.
This guy, you just can't let the spotlight be off of him.
Well, so got hired on at TML, which is the animation studio we work at here. Been around for a while. I've been doing did work as an artist for TML for 3-4 years probably.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. Got to work on a lot of real, like at that point, my career choices kind of moved, and I do graphic design and print work and that side of things, and then I have my animation side of things, and I've gotten a chance to work on, TV shows like the Aquabat Super Show with you guys, the movies like Gloom and which is a trailer for a movie.
Did
like
you do Mask? Were you
I
on
worked,
that?
I think, a little bit on Mask. I wasn't the main person on that
Yeah.
one. Got to do games. We've
Yeah.
done some games, little Facebook games and stuff. Buy Me, which is Tim's
My
little baby.
property. Yeah.
Directed a Buy Me short, which was fun. A lot of really great, fun things I've got to parlay into TML. And then as I was doing that, doing my print side of things, I've built up a career doing graphic design, graphic arts, and they both kind of intermingle with each other, which is great and lets me be a well-rounded, full artist capable of more than I imagined I would originally,
So that sounds kind of like you got to like we're here and now. Where do you want to be, and what do you want to do? Like, what's the end goal of all this art? You said it doesn't take you where you want to go. Where do you want to be, and like what do you think like the realistic timeline is before you get there?
I think that you're always going to grow as an artist. Like, it's never over,
Yeah.
which is kind of like, oh, that's a cop out, but it's really not. You always have to grow as an artist, whether you're practicing, whatever medium you're practicing in. Whether I'm practicing being more proficient in graphic design and text layout and catalog development and package and product development, things like that. Or I'm going towards animation. It's all educational. You still have to keep up on your skills, keep going, keep thriving for the most. I'd say eventually I want to be an art director, directing over large teams and
You want to be an
multiple
art director?
projects.
Is it like you want to be doing your own show? Do you want to be doing a
Well,
film?
I mean,
What's your...
there's aspirations for a lot of things, like my own business at certain points.
I will crush
doing-
you.
Doing my own TV show. I've already developed a TV show as I've been here with TML. We've been working on some stuff. So there's aspirations, and it's really about, it's not about what I want to do, because everyone wants something. It's about how am I going to get that, and the way that you do that is by practicing, being well educated, keeping up on the different things that you need to keep up on for.
I guess want is the like wrong word. It's like, what are you going to do? Because
Everything.
No, you're not.
Everything and
That's
everything.
Such a cop.
Yeah. it is.
But I mean, I
Just
do.
like his college days, aiming high.
I
Hasn't
mean,
learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Like, focus, you rotten bastard.
no, I mean, like, there are. I have a lot of close personal goals that I want to hit.
All right. What are they?
Well, like I said, like directing over multiple teams, being a creative head for whatever venture it is, whether it's animation or graphic design, bettering myself as an artist and learning more. Honestly, learning better being like a team player and stuff too. Like, sort of funky to say, but like you can always get better in your personable skills, like and your work ethic and things like that. So that's always something that I strive for. But I mean,
You're hired, Scott. That was a good interview.
Yeah. Live in front of you two.
So here's my problem with your whole introduction to yourself. Like, you've been nothing but like fun and wacky and all this stuff, and then we're like, Scott, tell us about your childhood. And you're like, well, first I went to school, and then I learned animation, and then I went to college, and then I got a job, and then what the hell happened?
as a kid.
You said you were in California at some point. You never told us what happened there.
Basically, as a kid, I grew up here. I was, again, I'm a goofy kid. I make a lot of jokes. I'm kind of a fun guy.
Sounds a lot like
That's a
someone I know.
mushroom joke.
And in junior high, like I don't know, 9th grade or something, I moved to California, and then I lived in California for 5 years, and that was fun, and I would have stayed there, but my mom moved back, and so I had to move back with her because I didn't have any money at the time. I was just out of high school at that point, and so that's where things kind of
Where'd you live
there.
in California?
Lived in Poway, which is like San Diego for
Yeah.
everyone else who doesn't know. But
He's so
That's
cool.
me.
He's dropping the lingo. San Diego.
I go
for
down
all
to-
you
to the-
outsiders.
I go down to
No, you
PB
look
and
at
hang out.
He's like, you guys call it Cali, I call it Killicali.
I just call it Fornia. I was down in the Fornia for 5 years. Living at large.
Yeah, I'm from Fornications.
I know he is.
Kind of. We all are.
But I mean, so yeah, it was honestly like California was really cool. It was a fun experience. I learned a lot from that. It's kind of interesting. Like, I'm sure Mitch kind of has the same feelings. Like, moving to different places in California and Utah are not, England. And,
Dude,
and
they're
the
very
United
similar
States.
places.
But it almost is because of how close knit Utah is and how ingrained the culture is.
Oh, we're in
and
a
stuff.
bubble. Like,
Yeah,
we're totally in a bubble.
You walk out for a little while and you're like, wow,
I'm in the
Things-
United States.
things are totally different out
Yeah.
here. You know what I mean? And then you pop back and you're like, oh yeah, it's about what I remembered it. Like,
Yeah.
So it was fun. I gained I feel like a lot of perspective. Living in California and like just being, I don't know, a little more open minded about certain things because it's like. And that sounds stupid, like, oh yeah, I went to California, now I'm so enlightened and open-minded, but like...
It'll sound stupid maybe to people who don't live here, but it's like when you live here and you kind of like, you experience like the cultural like ridiculousness that we have,
Yeah.
and you go out and you're like, damn, like, it's cool if you have friends that aren't of the same faith as you.
Yeah.
You can do that? Like, that's a Muslim saying hi to a Christian?
Yeah.
While a Jew picks up change that one rock? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I feel like you're writing a joke, like and then a rabbi walks into a bar.
But the Mormon's outside. He won't go in.
No, you know what's funny too is like living in California. It's and anyone who's lived in Utah and probably lived anywhere else. It's like, oh, you lived in Utah? Are you Mormon? It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to church
Yeah,
anymore.
with 5
It's
wives.
it's like, oh, do you have horns? It's like, what?
You're
the
like, yeah.
fuck are you talking about? Horns?
That's why I had to shave my head so they'd quit asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Hellboy. I have to saw him down every day. You know what you see?
Did you really get asked that?
Yeah.
You-
People are nuts.
I got asked that too when I went out to the East Coast.
Everyone else.
When I was young.
Horns thing?
I don't know. There's some weird things that people learn about Utah or think they learn about
That's what's
Utah.
funny is like I never heard of the horn thing until I had moved out of state, and I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, like everyone in Utah who are Mormon has horns. I'm like, no. No, even coming out of your mouth, doesn't that sound like the stupidest thing someone's ever said? Yeah, because it is the stupidest thing anyone's
Mine
ever said.
wasn't even Mormon. It was just like, you're from Utah? You got horns? And I'm just like, I didn't know what to say. Are you drunk? Are you?
missed a joke.
Yeah.
Like the whole of the
Everyone
state
in Utah
has
missed
I
a joke.
think honestly we actually missed a great punchline because they're setting us up for like horny jokes. Like, yeah, I'm definitely horny.
I go for some poon. What the fuck is that? Like,
Yeah, it was weird.
I've heard some crazy shit about Mormons, and it's like funny what like people of certain faiths will believe about people of other faiths,
Yeah.
even if they're very similar. They're like, oh, those Mormons, they like some crazy shit. It's like, motherfucker, you like some crazy shit.
Well, you know what's even funnier too? Like when I was out in California, so I was taking my animation classes, my 3D animation class. I had a teacher who's like super Mormon-y, and so it's like, wow, another. You from Utah and stuff? And he's like, yeah, and we all had all the same, talks about things. And then it's like, but I'm not Mormon enough for him though. Like I'm way too more. Everyone else, it's like you talk to, they're like, oh, you're Mormon, oh, you have horns, oh, you're like polygamous, you're like all these things. It's like, no, whoa, calm down. I just met you. Hello. Like,
I already have 3 wives. Give me a break.
But then it's like on this other hand, it's like you meet someone else in the same faith and they're like judging you, like, oh no, you're not Mormon enough. You're Jack Mormon. You're this. It's like, oh, thank you for clarifying that. Like, I just don't fit in anywhere.
It's just like, I'll wait for the next one.
I love the idea of somebody looking in your face and asking if you have horns. Look up, dipshit.
It was a Trump rally. No.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Damn, I want to get that. I want somebody to ask me where my horns are.
It's funny that you live in a bubble that even people in the bubble treat each other like they live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, our sub bubble to the bubble.
Yeah, it's super awkward.
Bubble.
Double bubble.
I remember like growing up and like there were people who weren't allowed to hang out with me because I wore black and did drugs.
That's weird.
Was I doing drugs?
No, I was hanging out with you.
No.
Wait, because you're wearing black, you're doing drugs? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like
You wearing black?
Yeah, I wore black.
Okay.
They got one right.
At least they looked down to see what he was wearing.
Are you wearing black? No, I have purple on.
If Dungeons and Dragons and comics were crack, I was fucking hooked.
I was hitting the roof, mate. Every night.
I was just chasing the next time I could get a hold of that dragon.
D20. D20, that's a crit.
Give me a D20, that's a crit. I don't know. I mean, like, you could go off on everybody's. Everyone has weird cultures, you know what I mean? Like, everyone acts like we're the only people out there that have like odd.
No, look at
Culture.
Florida.
Oh
Dude,
yeah.
Florida's
I lived in Florida for some time.
You lived in Florida?
Yeah, I lived in Largo. It's I lived in the ghetto. Steve came and lived with me for a minute, and it was.
See, look at
That's
that.
interesting
Hold on.
times.
Pause that. Pause. As soon as he starts talking about Largo, he lived there for a minute. No, I visited him for a minute. Because that's the ghetto. You start talking Largo, and it comes out.
No.
The ghetto's out. The ghetto comes out.
Shut it.
Shut.
I told him one day, I was like, you look at people's faces, and it looks like everybody's seen some shit. Like, everybody looked like battle scarred. Like, and then you hear, like, all the news that comes out of Florida.
Dude, you get people like robbing 7-Elevens in a Gumby suit, and like shit's just weird in Florida. You get the most awkward people, but when you live there, it's just normal. It's fine.
You kind of start getting crazy too. Like the first time I ever skinny dipped, it was like me, Tim, and this girl that I met on MySpace. And
Players.
no, so there'd been like multiple shark attacks in Clearwater at this time. We're in Clearwater for the night hanging out, and we're like, just fucking skinny dip.
I was just trying to help him out. We're like, let's skinny dip, and I just was already running to the ocean naked. Like, come on, guys!
I imagine you just like jumped out of your clothing. Like,
Dude,
you
it
just
was
jumped in and it's all
instant.
flying off.
You guys ever see somebody pole vault without a stick?
Tim's like runs with a couple feet and he like speaks forward with it.
when he got to the apex of the arc, he was like, "Oh, bad idea." And I was still like taking my clothes off, watching him fall. I was like, "That's gonna hurt."
The girl from MySpace is like, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I'll let them fondle each other in the ocean.
No, we didn't realize it was a bad idea until all of us were in the ocean. It was at dusk, and that's when sharks come in to feed. And we're just sitting out there butt naked like, oh, maybe we should swim back to shore.
We're like, oh, Tim.
Funny thing was I was like 40 feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Florida just makes you stupid, and I don't know what it is. Like, it was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah, Florida. I lived there once, and that's enough.
Yep.
Is that the only time you ever lived? Oh, I guess we'll get your backstory
Yeah,
later.
that's the
Only time I ever lived in Florida? Yes.
Yeah, he's lived in some places. Tim's like, younger Tim was like, you'd have plans with him on Thursday, and he'd be in a different state for months by like Wednesday night. Like,
For months by Wednesday.
he would just like disappear. Like, I remember he just like fucking bounced one time, and I'm like, dude, we were supposed to like hang out this week,
Dude,
and he's just gone. And then when I hear from him again, he's like, I was just like selling speakers in New Mexico, and I fought a bunch of dudes.
Oh, so you're that guy. Like when I pull into a Smith's parking lot, he comes over and say, "Hey, you want to buy a bunch of stuff from my van?" It's like, that's you.
Yeah, but I yelled out of the van. I didn't want to get out.
Hey, you want to buy this stuff?
In Vegas, he's like flipping pans.
Is it on the quarter?
Yeah.
You want some of these? You want some of these?
You want this porn? You want this little bit of porn? You want this tiny piece of porn? This little porn?
Steve's giving insights to stories that won't be told. Anyways.
Well, yeah. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah?
Okay.
So, what were like your biggest influences that got you into like animation, like films and TV, like from your childhood that you're fond of? Or?
One huge influence, and this is kind of silly, I guess. A lot of people nowadays like this cartoon, but Invader Zim was way cool. Like when that came out, and I was a kid, I was like, this is awesome. Like I that night, like I watched the pilot of Invader Zim, and I was like, okay. I'm like drawing like stuff. I'm like, this is so cool. I want to do something like this, you know, because it's totally different style than
Still to this
normally,
day has a very unique style that nobody's really done anything like.
And then that topic got hold of it, right?
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, then they merchandise the crap out of that thing, and like everyone's now like, I'm a Zim fan. Like,
I'm a Gurr fan.
yeah, like if you ever watch like the behind the scenes on those, because I watch behind the scenes on DVDs all the time, and like Jonan Vasquez is the guy that created it, and he like hates people who are like, oh yeah, I'm like this kind of like Invader guy, and I'm like who are like too fanboy about it. It's like, no, it's cool. It's a great idea. It's a fun story. Little like unique stories. That's what's great. The concept is unique and fun, and it breaks the mold. But it's not about like, I don't know. I don't ever fan out about anything really.
I really would love to see fanboys if like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was a cartoon.
No, I don't think you want to see fanboys of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Fanboys of Johnny are like Steve Mattei.
Yeah.
That's just a shitty person, just so you get it. I know that only me and Tim get it, but like...
But I mean, another huge like influence was like one of my favorite shows, and this is also, again, a lot of people reference it, but I don't know if they really watch it. But like Ren and Stimpy, that's a great show. It's got a lot of really good physical comedy, and like it's like snot jokes and fart jokes and stuff. But like it's got like a lot of really like humorous stuff from an adult's perspective and from a kid's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's over the board. It's got really great content. The stories are interesting and unique. They haven't been done before. Like it's like, oh, we're gonna have our characters today be rubber nipple salesmen, and it's like, wow, sounds like a kid's show to me. but they're like, playing these kind of like Abbott and Costello type of bits, like the big dopey guy and the little jackass, and it's these great little profiles that fit almost any show. You have shows out there where it's like the fat dopey guy and and the little jackass, but you take those
Batman and Robin.
you take those general profiles and you put them in all these like really fun stories. Oh, now they're spacemen. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. They're spacemen and they're doing all these great things. And one of them goes insane and the other one has to keep it down. And like it's all these. One they're in like a zoo and they're dressed as monkeys, and like one they pretend to be like
husband and wife.
Yeah, like all these like crazy
Back when
scenarios.
cartoons could be cartoons.
Yeah.
So I love that kind of thing. I love the physical humor. I love the like very like bold story designs. Those kind of
So
things
that
really
comes into
I like.
play, and I can say this because I know your IP, into one of the IPs that you've come up with.
Yeah.
If you want to embellish a little bit on your own story, because I think it's really funny, and I do like those characters.
Curse and the King.
Yes.
Curse and the King is.
Trademark.
I mean,
Trademark Scotland.
That was like the only thing I was thinking was like, is this trademarked yet? This?
the Curse and the King is like it's very similar, I guess, if you want to call it to like a Ren and Stimpy type of thing. Do you want me to give the synopsis of the show?
Yeah, dude. I think it's funny.
It's basically about this like kind of simple-minded, like kind of jerky guy who's a king, and they just call him the king. But like you're never really sure if he ever was a king or if he just got kicked out of something, or if he's just a crazy person who wears a cape and a crown. And he travels around with his little sidekick Curtis, who's a squirrel, and they travel around on their airship, and they fly from place to place, and their airship is powered by a player piano that's coin operated. So they have to stick coins in the player piano, and that's how they get around from town to town. And so like they're constantly like out of money, and they like crash somewhere, or like the king is always doing like really jerky thing. Like the original idea was called Balloon Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this idea that how funny would it be that like a king is traveling from another place, and he looks overboard because he's like bored, and he's like, maybe I should spit on one of those people, and like so he spits on somebody, and Curtis is like, no, don't do it, you know, like what if they get mad and what's to do this, and they end up getting this big like fight back and forth with the person they spit on. They spit on somebody and they come after them, and it's this little back and forth. So that's kind of the main synopsis of what the idea is. It's these fantastic adventures of these two kind of crazy people. But I don't know. Do you want me to go over like an episode?
No. I think
of it. I mean, like
you can if you like. Yeah, I just think it's a super funny story,
Yeah,
and
sounds awesome.
I would like to expand more on that maybe one day. And
Where's the treatment for this? Where's the one sheet?
there's a one sheet. I think
I haven't seen it.
we've done a couple
I sent it to
scripts.
you actually. Actually, Tim
I don't
wrote a
know if I
script.
got it.
Yeah,
I
I
sent
did.
you the script
Oh.
that Tim wrote. He wrote one
Okay.
about little dumplings.
I'll have to read that.
It's a
I-
good
I like
script.
that.
And everyone online's like, what are you guys talking about? If you guys want to see more Curtis and the King and you guys want to follow that idea, I would really like to do more Curtis and the King. So let us know on Facebook, and if you like it, then I'll put the one sheet up on Facebook. It's basically like the rundown of what I just said, and then it has some episode ideas. And I can develop more if people are interested. I would like
You
to.
should, for real, like start at least pulling that into a webcomic or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, a webcomic would be great.
I have a
especially for
ton
that.
of ideas. Like constantly, I'm writing for it, but like it's just as I'm like going through life, I'll think of something like, oh man, that's a great Curse and the King episode. So I'll just like start like noting it down or just kind of thinking about it in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'd love to
Webcomic
get
that
into
stuff,
it,
dude. Just
Yeah.
webcomic it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that stuff's super easy and quick. You know what I mean? And then the ideas for Curtis and the King would play really well for a
Yeah.
webcomic.
Yeah, it's like don't ask other people if they want it. Develop it, and people will start to want it.
So you're going to see some Curtis and the King whether you like it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Now, also, you have a very unusual hobby.
Which one?
Yeah.
the voyeurism. Or
Is this the gimp suit or?
This is his toenail face masks.
You collect instruments.
Well, my wife wouldn't say it's an interesting hobby. She hates it. Like the funny thing is, like my wife is she's a singer. She does music. She has a like on the opposite side of how my family is like very artistic. Her family is super musical, and so I'm like, oh, you know what I really like to do, and I told her this like thing she'd be super jazzed. It's like I like to collect odd instruments, and she's like, what do you mean odd instruments? I'm like, I just like unique instruments. I like to collect them. I don't know how to play a lot of things. I want to learn how to play music more. Like, I have an accordion, a concertina accordion. It's like a little pirate accordion. I have a theremin, if anyone knows what a theremin is.
I do.
So I show her these things, and she's like, what? Like, the theremin really got her. She is like, that is not a musical instrument. That is annoying. And I constantly, like, coming to her and being like, oh, I found something new. We gotta buy this. It's there's this thing called an automaton. It's like a little Japanese instrument where you
This
squeeze
little
it's like a
face, right?
face,
Yeah.
and you squeeze, and you have like a whammy bar type thing on it. And it goes, wah, 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 wah. It has like these like funny little sounds, and people make like they have like Game of Thrones on it, and they'll be like playing it. And this is like really weird synthesized music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, and there's like groups of people like making like an orchestra with these stupid little things, and they're so annoying. But it's like I looked up a didgeridoo for a while. I want to get a didgeridoo. I wanted these little synthesized beatbox things that they have that are like really cool, and you can make all these different sounds.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, I wanted one of those. I wanted a big stand-up theremin, like they have like the wood cabinets, and yeah, like all these things. I was like, no, like we're not getting that. We're not doing that thing. The next thing I just recently saw was this. It's like a Strum violin, or it starts with an S. It's basically like a violin mixed with like on the back of it has a mega like a phonograph. You know how they have the big phonograph tube things. It's a violin with a phonograph tube on it. It's like made for like gypsy music and stuff. I'm like, I want that. I need one of those things.
Yeah. I play strum violin.
It's fine. We have the time.
But I mean, I love like that's something that's totally a hobby. It's just a fun little thing. I tried to get decent. I'm okay at the accordion. I can play like little songs and stuff, but nothing like good. My wife's always like, you don't know how to play. I'm like, yeah, I do. I can play songs. And she's like, you make me transpose it into something that you can read, and then like it's this whole backwards way of doing music. You don't know how to read music, you know? I'm like,
Hey, Scott, what's going on there?
oh, it's just
It's one of his instruments.
It's not his phone. It's actually a string instrument in a
He
little
has
box.
A miniature harp. He's just playing like.
Sitting in his pocket.
so. Anyways, that's something I'm into. Thanks, Mitch, for bringing that one up.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
No, I think
it's
that's
really
great.
quirky, and I think like it's a really cool.
You're just so
Icebreaker.
quirky. You could be like one of the
Quirky.
boy versions of
He's a manic
Gilmore
pixie
Girls.
dream guy.
Wait till I show you my horns.
So we talked about when we were doing Mitch's, we talked about like movies he likes, games he likes. What games are you into?
Do you know what game I'm into?
Anything from Midway, duh.
Actually, my favorite game in the world that I just love. I love the art style. I love the way it plays out. As a gamer, I'm not super into like things that are going to challenge me. I'm not the kind of guy that's like going to sit down and have to be challenged. Like I'm not. Like you guys are more of that kind
We
of gamer.
like to figure things out.
All my brothers were all gamers, and so I enjoyed watching my brothers play games and helping them through. Like we had Nintendo Power, we were like going through the strategy guide, and I'm like guiding them through the game or trying to help out and figure out how to get through a level. Those things were fun, but ultimately games that I like to play games that are more straightforward, like that have really interesting art styles and that are kind of unique. I like Shadows of the Colossus is my favorite game. Like that one just. It's fun to play. You can pick it up and you don't feel like you're ever having to, like, necessarily strain over it. It's just like walking through this beautiful landscape, even though it's like kind of not the greatest graphics anymore right now. But you're just walking through this magnificent landscape and just strolling around like, wow, this is beautiful. And then you attack these. There's no like enemies, just bosses, and they're these gigantic landmass creatures that are like half bowl, half like land, you know, like with castle bits strewn in it, and like those kind of visuals are like really cool. I love the idea that you stab him in the head and the black blood stuff flies
awesome.
out. Like that's all like really fun. The storyline is kind of plain, you know, like straightforward, like, oh, guy loses his girlfriend, tries
You're
to
more so
sack
interested in
face
like
back.
a linear story that you can go through.
Yeah.
Is what you are.
Yeah, like I don't want to feel like I have to struggle. Like I like playing older games, and I'll probably do some more Let's Plays. I've been wanting to jump into like the Twitch channel that we're doing and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I like old school games, but I like things that are a little more linear, a little more basic in a way. I'm not a great gamer. Surprise, surprise! I'm not the greatest gamer out there. Mitch knows this from us playing. What was that game?
XCOM?
Yeah.
No, not XCOM. We were playing like Left 4 Dead or something. Was it Left 4 Dead?
Oh, he was trying to play. I think you put on Left 4 Dead before you
Yeah,
played
yeah, that's
XCOM,
true.
And it was
he just couldn't figure out the
awful.
buttons.
I heard about this.
He couldn't oh, it's so funny.
I think I'd do like a clueless gamer type thing where you guys just like let me like at games.
We should totally just pull up games for him.
It's kind of like the video game version of An Idiot Abroad.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've loved games as a kid. I was super intrigued by them. Like another game that I really like that's kind of sort of a not game, but it's still fun. Earthworm Jim. It's great art style.
Oh, dude,
yeah, that's
Earthworm
great.
Jim's
Fun,
awesome.
game. It's challenging. It's definitely a little more challenging, but it's like, again, it's linear, it's straightforward. It's something that I don't have to like think a lot about. I do like Zelda, and that you have to think a lot more, and it's not linear. But I think if it intrigues me enough,
Then you'll figure it out.
I'll be into like figuring it out. But if it's like Morrowind or something, like I played that game for a while. I only like the idea that I can just go wherever I want. But like I'm so destructive as a person. Like, oh yeah, I can do anything I want. Okay, I'm gonna go stab all these guards. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, stab, stab, stab. Like I just. That's my first thought. It's like I'm just gonna go like mess with people. It's like I think that's like everyone's
That's what you
mentality.
do with freedom.
Yeah.
That freedom, I'm gonna kill people.
I vote for Scott for president.
You should see me on Grand Theft Auto.
Everybody
I
does
like
that.
I like those open style games, but only to a point. Like again, Marwin, I didn't play for the story. My brother played through the story, and I just jumped into his game and messed with people.
And then saved over his.
But Oblivion was kind of the same thing. But I don't know. I have a lot of fun with all those games. They're all good.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Scott? Do you still have your birthing box?
I do.
Is it
Every morning I have to crawl through it. It's actually in the front of my doorway.
He's ripped a hole through the chicken mesh.
That's the first layer.
Cool. Well, funny enough, it's the end of our episode.
Wow.
Man, he gets hard.
Sorry for not getting into like fun games and
No, dude, that was
cool news,
awesome.
but
That was really cool.
That was good.
we got into like me in
Yeah,
Florida.
I think it kind of. We talked a little bit about, but it kind of went around a little bit too. It like jumped off of Scott for a minute and then he'd come back. So.
No, I think it was really, really good. So we are getting more, posting things back online. So follow us there, chat with us there, Facebook, Twitters, YouTubes, all them jokes. And yeah, we'll be back around next week.
To learn about Tim.
Oh, next week's me.
Next week's Tim.
I love how you're like pawning everything off on you. This means that you have to be the extravaganza at the end.
I'm writing a document about my wonderful life. I grew till about 7th grade when I stopped at 5'5".
I really had aspirations to be a basketball player, and then those were crushed.
It's funny, we were at like a free movie last night and we're sitting there and these two big dudes are like, this feels like a damn airplane in here. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, thanks, buddy. I was like, hey, that's your fault for growing into an adult's body.
I'm cool with my Garanimal underwear.
I was like kicking my feet just to be obnoxious for a second.
All right.
Cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Later.